enforcer.
I believe they're called enforcers, Gordon. I sell women's shoes.
And the Stallion.
Stallion, baby! I am not what you would call a handsome man.
I'll kick you in the nuts and you'll smile at me and like it.
All night long.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to yet another edition of the All Night Long Wrestling Podcast. We are your host. He is the Stallion. I am the Enforcer, and we are back for yet another week. And as always, we are brought to you by the Damage 365 Radio Network.
This is former WWE superstar Damian Sandow, now known as Aaron Stevens, and you're listening to Damage 365 Radio. Keep it tuned. You're welcome.
And if you're listening to us, you're probably listening to us on, I would say probably the iTunes app. I think that's the most popular. If you're wondering of other ways you can listen to us, Joe, how many other ways we got?
72.
72 ways. Facebook.com/AllNightLongWP. Twitter @AllNightLongWP. Instagram @AllNightLongWP. Spreaker.com/show/ANLWP. And I think I got them all.
I think you got them all. Accessible on everyone's BlackBerry for those people out there that are using the Blackberries.
Do you remember the kid we used to work with at Party City? He used to wear the crown. Him and his girlfriend worked there. I'm going somewhere with this.
Did we kick their asses at any point?
No. Maybe. What was his name? He was from Brentwood.
Real Bob?
No.
Not Real Bob?
Not Real Bob. I'm trailing off on another side note. Carrie was talking last night about how she wants you to adopt a dog.
Me?
The Natural was talking about how she would like you to adopt a dog. And she was like, what do you think you would name the dog? I looked at her deadpan. I said, Steve. She's like, really? I was like, I feel like Steve would be a great dog name for you. Yeah.
Steve the dog.
Yeah, Dog Steve. Steve
rolls
dog.
right off the top.
Right. Hi, this is Joe and Steve. So anyway, where I was going with this, this kid at Party City, he used to have one of those things that would pop up with the screen. It would switch. It was white. It looked like a video game system.
This isn't like those keychains with the pig where you squeeze it and the poop comes out? That's something different?
No, something different.
Okay.
Sidekick. It was a sidekick. That's what those things were. It was like the original text message thing. Man, that kid was a doofus.
Yeah. I like how the pig with the poop jarred your memory immediately for that.
Yeah.
That's nicely done.
Because when I went to a health expo, they gave me a cow with doo-doo coming out of his butt.
There you go.
And it was from a colon cleanse company.
Oh, all right.
That's a true story. At least their products make sense.
It's topical. Well...
you know what's not topical?
Yeah,
anything we've talked about for the first 3 minutes and 38 seconds.
That's right.
The WWE Superstar Shakeup is finally in the books after back-to-back episodes, Monday Night Raw and Tuesday Night SmackDown, and I think we have a little bit of a clearer picture as to what's going to be going on in the WWE from here on out. Well, I'd like to think so.
Yeah, I guess with those moves, they'd only announced it the week before Vince McMahon announced it the night after WrestleMania on Raw, so... there was about a week or so of leading up to it, not really sure. No one really knew how it was even going to work, right? It wasn't a draft, per se, where guys were just going to be randomly switching. There was some sort of behind-the-scenes deals and negotiations being worked out between Daniel Bryan, Shane McMahon on SmackDown, and I guess Kurt Angle and maybe Stephanie on Raw. So no one really seemed to know how it was going to work. And the way it turned out was it was just more people showing up on the show that they weren't originally drafted to as a surprise, and then a couple of guys were just kind of named in a segment on the side of, okay, by the way, these guys are also joining the show, and that was kind of it. So, yeah, they did a bunch on Monday and Tuesday. Monday's show emanated from the Nassau Coliseum, actually, out in our neck of the woods.
You know what's weird? We didn't get press passes.
Yeah.
I was on the phone with...
the U.S. Postal Service?
I was on the phone with them, and I was on the phone with... who's that other guy? Who's that writer? J.T. Dunn?
Al Roker?
Yeah, J.T. Dunn and Al Roker.
Yeah.
Nobody got me anything. I couldn't even get a free dish of wings at the local Hooters.
That's upsetting.
I'm like, I'm from the All Night Long Wrestling Podcast. And she said, shut up. And she spit in my face. It was weird.
Did you spit in the wings, too?
She might have.
Okay.
They tasted like Hooters wings. You know what that means. They were full of hair and feathers. So, where the hell's I going with this whole thing? I don't know. Listen. So, here's where we're at. We're going to talk a little about Raw. We're going to talk about SmackDown. And then we'll kind of go over some of the draft picks. But as you had said, it couldn't have been any more of a larger cluster schmageckle than they tried, because there was no, people were just walking out. There was no podium and stuff like that, which is fine, but at least give us a little bit of what's going on, because we'll get to it. But there are some people that you're not sure what show they're on now or why they're going to be on each show. But so Raw opened with John Cena's music hitting, and out comes the Miz and Maurice. Thought that went pretty well. We saw the Miz and Maurice get into it with Nakamura the week before, and a lot of people speculated the reason they didn't get any physicality between them was because one of them was going to be going to the other show. And sure enough, Miz comes out to Raw, and who comes out? None other than Joe's favorite, the award-winning Dean Ambrose.
What award did he win?
Joe's Most Hated 2016.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's true.
Actually tied Kenny Omega in that one, yeah.
Split that award right down the middle.
I think the word hated is strong, but either way, Ambrose music hits, and when you see Ambrose walk out, you pretty much know that Kevin Owens is going to SmackDown. Yeah, there's no two ways around it. The Intercontinental title is now on Raw. So it seems like not only is the IC title on Raw, all three members of the Shield are now on Raw, so I wonder if that's going to lead to anything in the future. But so Miz and Ambrose, I thought they had a pretty good segment. I liked Ambrose's shtick. I know you're not a big Ambrose guy. I thought it was pretty funny. It was kept relatively short for an opening segment, I would say, which is probably the best thing I could say about it.
It's better in small doses, I guess I would
say.
Yeah,
and you know what? Now that I think about it, even though Raw is a longer show, there's so many more personalities on it. He might even be more tolerable for you. Yeah. I hope so. Can you just try to be positive on Ambrose?
No.
Really?
Can't do it.
Let me tell you a reason to be positive on Monday Night Raw. The Revival. And I forgot to tell everybody, you can no longer refer to us as the All Night Long Wrestling Podcast. You can refer to us as the Top Guys.
Oh, okay.
Top Guys.
That's a new gimmick.
Top Guys Wrestling Podcast. You think that's taken? Is it too late to switch? So the Revival comes out, and they took out Kofi last week, which is part of a shoot. Kofi broke his ankle, I think. Was it a broken ankle?
Yeah, it was fractured or broken ankle, something along those lines. I didn't know that he was injured before that angle, but I guess they shot that angle last week to get him off TV for a little bit. So
that's what happens when you're a top guy.
So the Revival faced Biggie and Xavier Woods this week, sort of a rematch from the prior week, and beat him again. 2 weeks
in a row, baby. The finish was a brutal... First of all, Xavier Woods tried to go coast to coast with an elbow drop. Came up just a bit outside.
Yeah, a little bit of a stretch.
A little bit of a stretch, but kudos for trying, because that unbelievable distance on that. And I thought the match was pretty good, but the finish was Woods came off the top rope. Biggie got tossed out of the way, and then they hit him like a falling shadow machine, which is a tough spot to... I don't know how you protect yourself in that spot, but it looked cool, and it's a great start for the Revival on Raw. I'm really excited for him. What do we got next?
Cruiserweight action, dude. That's your favorite time of the show.
All 4 minutes and 44 seconds of
That's
it?
right.
Between Austin Aries and TJ Perkins?
Yeah. So, I mean, short story long. They
nice. Oh, short because they're cruiserweights?
I didn't mean it that way. No.
Because I'm short.
So am I. So, no, they had teased a little bit of Perkins. Maybe would he go heel or not before this match? Neville tried to, kind of coerce him the other way. Anyway, TJ Perkins faced Austin Aries. Neville was down the ring aisle and distracted Aries, and Perkins ended up winning the match. And then afterwards, Perkins did in fact turn on Aries. So that's fine. I mean, as far as cruiserweight divisions is concerned, people
match was long, had a lot of time,
almost 5 whole minutes.
Woo!
And Perkins had been kind of getting booed for a while now. I don't know if people are just disinterested in him or his act or whatever it was.
He can't speak.
Yeah,
he cannot speak on the mic, and he's just... there are some people that can't really speak on the mic that have connectivity with the crowd. Like Sami Zayn is not fantastic on the mic, but he connects with the crowd as a true babyface. Perkins, people just don't care. But now he's got this cool video game intro, and now he's going to be a heel?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they can change it to like some bad video games instead. I don't know.
Like Cool Borders 3.
Like Bubble Bobble.
I'm sorry, like what?
Bubble Bobble.
Oh man, I haven't played that game in a minute.
Actually, it's probably not that bad of a game, but yeah. So that was the development on this show. And I don't think there was another cruiserweight match, if I'm remembering correctly, but we'll find out as we go through this. The next segment was a promo from Seth Rollins. So I thought this was actually. Wow, I was just because it's actually pretty good.
Really, you like this
promo? You
promo?
put the Who the Hell's Cares in the middle of it. Yeah, I thought it was good. He actually seemed like he was the most over as a babyface that I can remember him being probably since since he was actually a heel, probably when he came back last summer. But the one thing about this, I would say,
I just actually heard what you said. It was actually very funny.
The one thing about this I thought was they were playing it up for the first like hour of the show as like what's the fate of Seth Rollins with the Superstar Shakeup. I guess figuring that Stephanie McMahon would want him off of her show, which was a fine angle to play.
If Stephanie was there.
Well, I was going to say more so that they could have played that up for like the full week since they announced the Superstar Shakeup, and I didn't see really any of that until like the day of, or even when I turned the show on, where they're like, "Oh, what's the fate of Seth Rollins?" Well, like that would have been a neat thing to say like the week before, where like maybe somebody could have indicated like, "Oh, well, Seth Rollins is probably not going to be here next week because of this," and like, or play it up like on social media for a couple of days, or maybe have Triple H send out a tweet or something like that. I don't know, but they didn't really do that to build it up. It would have made it, I think, a little more interesting. But again, I guess just the overall deal was he said he wanted to stay on Raw, and then Kurt Angle came out and basically told him that he was a fan of his essentially, and he was going to keep him on the show. So regardless of whatever Stephanie may want, they decided to leave Rollins on the show. So that was, I guess, that's that whole thing. I don't know. You didn't care for it, I guess? I
just thought it went a little long, and maybe that's why I didn't care about it. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's the lack of, it just seemed kind of rushed. And now that I think about what you're saying, I definitely would have cared about it more had a little more been built up. But it was what it was. Next, this was a tough one. Nia Jax and Charlotte. I felt like Nia Jax was getting better for a while. Is that fair? She was not. Well, you know what? She wasn't killing anybody.
Yeah, that's fair.
And that almost ended on Monday. There were two spots in the Nia Jax versus Charlotte one-on-one match where Charlotte could have died. Nia Jax hit her with a shoulder breaker, over the shoulder. An over the shoulder breaker that who used to do it? Papa Shango actually was his finisher. And then instead of controlling Charlotte after Nia drops to her knee, she hits her with the shoulder breaker, loses her balance, and then just completely drops Charlotte directly on her neck. To which the referee hops in and asks her if she's okay, and Charlotte's a beast, so she goes forward with it. And then there was a spot where Charlotte did a moonsault to the outside, and I heard an analogy on another show. It was when you're a wide receiver or you're playing in the outfield, you go to the ball. You don't wait for the ball to go to you. And in this situation, the ball was Charlotte doing a moonsault, and Nia Jax kind of just waited there. Took two boots to the face because she was incredibly out of position, and then Charlotte face planted, JT Smith ECW style, on the outside. I've made 4 references that nobody's going to get so far. And I thought it was a very, very tough match to watch. What did you think?
It was okay. The moonsault thing was, it was a risky spot, I guess, just for Charlotte to bust that out on Raw. I guess it was probably because it was her last match on Raw, so maybe she felt like she could do that and not save it for the pay-per-view or things like that. It happens. I guess I've seen bad stuff like that happen before in certain matches where guys, the wrestler on the outside doesn't catch the person performing the moonsault or whatever, so it kind of sucked. But it was what it was. I think the ideal, really, end result of it with Nia Jax winning sort of telegraphed